Well, ladies and gentlemen, rev up your engines. The firestorm is happening. We have realized sales of the first 2026 Declaration of Independence July 4th privy quarters that have sold on eBay. We're going to talk about the few of them that did sell. Talk about something that maybe you guys are probably not gonna like. I'll be honest. When I saw these first sales and found out that every single one of them came from the same seller, and it wasn't just one or two. Yeah. So much for good distro, right? US Mint. Um, but yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I actually had a little bit of time to actually, Justin Couch, reached out to me this morning, and we were talking back and forth on text, and he said, "Hey, man, the first July 4th privy coins have sold, and it's ridiculous." And I went and looked for myself, and I'm like, "Yeah, man, ridiculous it is." So yeah, kind of crazy. And we also talked about a few other things, like how the seller probably was not aware that NGC and PCGS, respectively, have put out some really thick bounties on the first one of these coins to cross their grading tables. It's kind of nuts. Um, it's a lot of money. We'll also talk about that here today. By the time I would say by the time things are all settled down here in the next 24 hours, as more of these are beginning to be found across the country, um, yeah, the bounties will be collected. I would say by end of day today. Today is July 1st, by the way. So the original plan from the Mint when they announced this, and thank goodness we're doing something really special, a treasure hunt of the. This is literally a treasure hunt of the ages. It's a type of thing that you can find, and bam, you can pay your mortgage 2 months in a row. Yeah, you heard that right. They originally had come up with this number of 250,000 to signify 250 years, the semi-quincentennial event. Okay, pretty special. That number in itself is extremely low, man. That is nothing in the landscape of how many coins they make normally, both at the Philadelphia and Denver Mints. The original idea was that they were going to do an even distribution across the country of these coins ahead of July 4th. Okay, so here we are. We're about 3 days away from Independence Day. Happy, safe 4th of July to y'all as well. And we are officially seeing for the very first time on eBay the first couple sales. Here's one that's very interesting. Now, I want you guys to take note of this one, okay? This is a full roll of the Declaration of Independence quarters with a July 4th privy ender on it for $5,000. Now you're going to note that it says best offer, but because this is the very first examples to pop up on the platform, nobody is going to waste their time doing best offers because, first of all, that process might take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. By the time that happens, someone will come in, swoop in, and buy it for whatever the original asking price is. So right off the rip, people are they're just hitting the buy now button. All right, $5,000 on this first one. Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Although it does show that best offer was accepted. Okay, you guys that have 130 point or whatever, you guys can find that out. It's probably, I don't know, probably $3 to $4 grand. I don't know. It could be $4,500. Whatever it is, it's a lot of dang money. This is significant on a roll, okay, because the possibility of other coins could exist in the same roll. But you're probably asking yourself, well, if these things are so limited, just being able to find one in a bank box should be spades. It should be like a blackjack right off the rip. But I want you guys to also take note of the seller, Winston Limited, who's located in Bennettsville, South Carolina. Okay. This is our gentleman right here, or lady. Okay. My apologies if I got that wrong. That has found a number of these, not just one, not just two, but this individual has like half a dozen of these currently listed online, and these are all the first ones. And who knows how many other ones this person has. So, because of that, this one became kind of like an intriguing score of sorts, because there could be two of them in there based off of the seller and how many this person had found up to this point. So yeah, kind of crazy, but you can see it right there. It says July 4th, and it's the absence of the mint mark suggests that this is the real deal coin. All right, getting back to the listings, and this person that sold a number of these in the kind of like ending hours of the last day of the month of June 30th. Here's another one right here, also from Winston for $2,500. Here's another one right here for $1,000. And then here's the kicker. Someone got a smoker of a deal. $500 their best offer. This particular one right here, someone just bought it for $500, recognizing that this is really a cheap one right here. And it's funny that we're seeing this like from the same seller, because he's kind of like price testing, and then I would imagine probably came to a certain amount of money where it's kind of like the most that someone would pay for one of these, although we're really not sure of that. If someone's willing to pay like 3-4 grand for a full roll with an ender, and then 2,500 for a single coin, maybe there's a lot more room for these to grow. Okay, but you guys remember my initial kind of estimate from a few videos back? It was a wide range. It was like people were thinking $500 all the way up to about 5 grand. You remember that? You remember that those words I had put out when we were talking about these? And as crazy as it seems, the same seller helped realize the entire range. $500, $1,000, 2,500, and in that roll, which probably pretty close to 5 grand. Okay, it's exciting when I'm right. I'm not usually right all the time, but I was kind of taken aback by the fact that the coin number 1, number 2, number 3, and then the roll. 4 of these suckers already sold overnight. All right, yeah, you blink your eye, wake up first thing in the morning here on July 1st, and not realize that four of these had sold, because I was constantly on the pulse of eBay. I was on here all day long yesterday, just sitting there resetting every hour, refreshing the screen. Had anybody found these? Had any of them sold? And then Justin texts me. He's like, "Hey man, like 4 of them, 5 of them sold." So he's like, he had already put out a video. By the way, quick shout out to Justin, Couch Collectibles. If you guys don't know him, you should. Let's get him to 1 million subs. He's only 2,000 away, probably a lot less than that. But yeah, he's the man of the hour. He's gonna be earning his gold plaque here pretty soon. And congratulations in advance, Justin. That's freaking awesome. So here are the current listings right now that are live. There's these stupid little pre-sales. Pay no attention to these. These things should be pulled off ASAP. Nobody's buying the damn pre-sale for $5,500. Sorry. Here are a couple of incredibly intriguing listings. Coming from Winston Unlimited again. He actually threw one out there for regular bidding. Okay, probably did, based off of the fact that there's 19 hours remaining. He put this on at 4:11 a.m. Okay, it's up to $1,000 with 24 bids. The reason why that this is important, ladies and gentlemen, is it's going to help establish us kind of like a true value baseline. Was the $2,500 too cheap? Was it too high? What is the magnitude in which people are willing to pay for this rare coin? We're going to see that here in 19 hours. All right. And then there's also a second one here, literally put up for bidding 1 minute before the other one. Yet this one is at a little bit cheaper price at $760 with 12 bids. Now I'm sure everything's going to kind of like normalize because things like this, they tend to sell for pretty close to one another. But first coins, who would have thought? Everybody was all speculating like, oh, you have to be close to a Fed Reserve Bank or the Philadelphia Mint or the Denver Mint to find these. Couldn't be any further from freaking truth, because these are being found in South Carolina out of all places. One person doing work finding these, and then overnight has made quite a fair amount of money and more to come. And who knows how many left remaining that Winston has available. It's going to be exciting to see. I cheer for folks like this because they truly did put in the work. They're knocking down their bank's doors and they're sitting there. They're they're pit bulls, and you kind of have to be that when you're doing this. A lot of people I've had argue about this program. I'm like, why are you arguing for something that didn't need to happen? The Mint didn't need to do this. Consider this a free Easter egg for the entire nation to enjoy. But yet there's just so much negativity about this program. And then the fact that one person has probably like 10 of them is going to further add more fuel to the fire to those a-hole, I'm going to say it, a-hole naysayers that feel like that this program was like slighted and that it was developed and designed and all this bull crap. A lot of tinfoil hattish type stuff, but not enough common sense up here, and that's the kind of thing that I don't like, man. I mean, why are we hating on something like this? I may or may not have the opportunity to find one of these, but for the people that do, I'm sitting there with my pom-poms, man. I am shooting my guns in the air, bam, bam, that people are finding these and they're making all sorts of money. And hopefully that my message at some point, back in the last like week or two, helped develop this. At the very least, maybe I had a fraction of a percent to do with the fact that some of these are being found. That's probably the greatest high that I could realize. But this is cool. We're seeing these for the first time ever. Let's talk a little bit about roll prices, okay? So here's that one right there for bids. 1,025, 19 hours left, 25 bids. A lot of activity. There's going to be people that are going to be very interested in owning this. Let's see how much it sells for. Now, roll prices, okay, came across this one. With almost 4 days remaining, okay, you have to understand, and we had talked about this before, it might just be advantageous for you guys to just sell the rolls and then realize all sorts of profit. Now it's more true to form. This roll, this one singular roll right here, which by the way was not in South Carolina, this one actually in Lexington, Kentucky, is up to $127.50. 14 bids. I had someone that commented in one of my videos talking about this, saying that this is unethical. Throw unethical out the window. You're in the wrong industry if you're going to bring up that word. If you're talking about unethical in the sports card market, in comic books, you have no business being a part of it. There's a lot of ethics to be involved here because there's a lot of great things to be found in these rolls. Go back to 2019, 2020. With those WMN quarters, rolls got up to like 40, $50. Is that unethical? No. That's just the current advanced market for such an item based off of some of the intangibles. A special seeded coin that they added in there is certainly going to enhance the value because a bankroll in itself is sealed equity. It is a collectible, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just, again, the common sense is really lacking in this world about things like this. And I think we need to take a step back and say, is this really for me? I might be an old head, and not willing to hear real facts. And, I'm gonna be sitting behind a keyboard with a little avatar, of a guy, a cartoon character eating grapes, and you know, with my favorite college, mascots, team flag up in the air and all this other stuff. Or maybe I'm sitting there, driving a lifted F-350, because that's what I like. I just feel like being a dick. There's a lot of that for no reason whatsoever. This is a hobby, ladies and gentlemen. This is an outlet. Why are we why is there so much negativity? I just I don't understand. It's just I don't understand. It's like our world is certainly losing it, and this is something fun. Okay, for July 4th, which is a recognized birthplace or birth date of our country that we all enjoy, with fireworks and like kids laughing and food and parades and all that stuff. And we can't lose sight of the fact that that's what this is. This is just a part of that. All right. So getting off my soapbox a little bit there. All right. So NGC offering a $2,500 cash bounty. This is old news. I'm willing to bet that this one probably had been collected by now, because there are other people that have found these. Let's be honest. There are people who find these and they're not going to sell them, but they will collect $2,500, which is a huge bounty. All right, to get the first one graded by them, it's going to be in a special holder, and that one first particular coin is going to be worth so much more than what the current existing market is, in addition to the bounty that was added to that, because people like to pay a lot of money for one of ones. All right, if you thought PCGS was going to be resting on their laurels, they also have a bounty that they posted on their social media for $5,000. All right. And the cool part is it's going to come in this really cool 250th gold label. That says, say, first discovery. It's cool. It's going to be a one of one. It's going to be the one that you want. And this coin is going to be tens of thousands of dollars. Believe you me, this is going to be a very important coin because it is in a graded holder. It's going to be the only one known to man. All right. So, and then final thing that I wanted to bring out, our boy Couch Collectibles, man. He is on the cusp of 1 million subscribers, and that's pretty cool. I would say probably one of the most legit coin people finally get hit the cusp of 1 million is pretty important, because there are legit guys like this, and then there are pretenders. I'm not going to name any names, but this guy did it and put his nose to the grindstone in the most realist way here on YouTube. All right, so go ahead and sub in to our boy Couch. Get him to 1 million. All right, that's going to go ahead and do it. The hunt is on. Find yourself. Go out there to the banks. People are asking me, should I wait? Should I wait until July 3rd to get these? No, you probably should have been looking about a week ago when it was first announced. Because the Mint will have the tendency to, do a press release or a news thing, kind of like breaking news. And the cogs in the wheels are already turning. So, a lot of the coins, I'm sure, had already been distributed in some form or fashion, all while the news was being broken. So now is the time. I would say now, most importantly, is the time to look for this. And don't you go driving out to Bennettsville, South Carolina, to go to all the banks, because I know that's what the feeling is. It's like, well, if this guy had found X amount of these, I think he just got lucky. Are they all going to be like that? I don't know. Could be, maybe not. I'm not really sure. Someone had mentioned that, well, if they made 250,000 of these, if they broke it apart in 50, okay, sorry, Puerto Rico, that there would be 500 coins being distroed through every state. If that were the case, that would make these pretty gosh darn rare, don't you think? And a hell of a chase. Let's do it. Best of luck to you guys. I want to hear more great success stories, a lot of big wins from this. And we'll talk more of this as we go on. Talk about some big sales, the aftermarket, the afterlife, heritage auctions, great collections. Wherever we see these. Um, you know, I wish you guys well. Happy 4th of July. Be safe. Be merry. Have fun with family and friends. And we'll talk later. See you guys.